I don't know where to start. It was a difficult journey, a mission impossible. A mission impossible of establishing an emergency service, a world-class emergency service. In a developing country like Pakistan, everybody said, impossible, impossible, impossible. This is Pakistan. How can you establish an emergency service in Pakistan? You're talking about America, you're talking about Europe, you're talking about UK. So it's USA, Rescue 911, Rescue 999 in UK, and then 112 in Europe. I thought, and when we did the first study, just like you, all of you, when I was in the final year of medical student, we found out that there were 95% chances that in case of an accident or an emergency, you'll not get an ambulance, you'll not get help. And people will not help you because if somebody comes and helps you, there'll be a medical legal case on that person. So people were afraid to help you. And several people shared this story that they helped somebody and they put his case, his name in that FIR as a witness and somebody who had come and reported this. And he subsequently went through several years of case. He was a banker, he was posted out of the country for 3 years. He hired a lawyer who would go and represent him every month in that case. And then he came back as the country head of the largest multinational bank of Pakistan, and the case was still going on. So you can imagine the fear that people had of even helping, and young people died on the roads. There was nobody to help them. And when we said, let's establish an emergency service, why we don't have an emergency service? Everybody said, no, you've come back from the US, you're talking about all of these things. These are not possible in Pakistan. So sometimes I also thought, maybe it's really not possible. And that was the time where I had to reset the way I thought. So from that study to taking it to the implementation phase was not an easy journey. It was a very, very difficult journey. Sometimes it was so frustrating that you can't even imagine, that even I thought that it will not be possible. Everybody thought, you're crazy talking about all of this. Establishing a service, a world-class service, leading emergency service of South Asia, the first service to get United Nations INSRAG certification in South Asia, a mission impossible. So where did we start? And we did the national reforms in the Interior Ministry of Pakistan in 2000, 2001 and 2. I wish they had been implemented. Half of the people could have been saved in the earthquake of 2005. We were trying to revamp, restructure the existing organization of civil defense. When that didn't happen, everybody said, look, you wanted to put in this effort, you've done it, you've realized it can't be done. So I came back. 2003 was a very good year because I was just doing my private practice. It was a very good financial year. And having worked in one of the best knee centers in the world, I'd done about 100 replacements and everything else, so it was a great year. But I felt I needed to give back something to the country, to the people who were dying on the roads. We needed to do something about it. It was a huge sacrifice. It was a very difficult decision. I had resistance from everywhere, and everybody thought I was crazy. It can't be done. And that's where we took a start in 2004, with only 14 ambulances from Lahore and 200 rescuers that we trained for the first time, the emergency medical technicians. And when they were shifting patients, people wouldn't believe it. The doctors used to be standing there, people coming on spine, shifting properly the spinal injury patients on a spine board, automatic loading stretchers, and new different ambulances. Immediately they would call without any discrimination, people would get the service. It was like an impossible target. It was something which was not possible. And from there, those 14 ambulances, today, we are the leading emergency service of South Asia. We have trained over 24,000 emergency workers who are not just helping now in every tehsil of Punjab, but Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and now we're in the process of establishing service in Sindh and Balochistan and Gilgit-Baltistan. We're also helping other countries in the region. And we also help and train other countries now in the Emergency Services Academy, which is a purpose-built academy in Lahore, centrally located. So all this, impossible. Today, we've rescued over 15 million victims without discrimination. And most of them, 99%, are poor patients. 80% of the road traffic victims are motorbike riders. Then came the challenge of the fire service. They said, and we used to get there, and they said, so that was like, again, another impossible target. And that's where we got the training, we collaborated with Scotland, and finally we established a service, fire service, which has responded to over 222,000 fire incidents and saved losses worth over 650 billion rupees just by improving response time in professional firefighting. You all saw the helplessness in the earthquake. There were teams coming from outside. We didn't have any team. We took on the challenge. After 1 year, we established the first team. And then we started capacity building to meet the international standards. 2015, we became the first team to get registration with the United Nations in Sarag after meeting the bare minimum standards. And then 2019, we became the first team in South Asia to get the United Nations in Sarag certification, as a result of which we were able to respond to the Turkey earthquake as well. So we were there when Turkey, the brotherhood that we have with them, we were there to help them. All this. Then not just this, any type of emergency, whether it's the flood of 2013 right next to you in Kasur, starting from here in Satluj, we rescued about 318,000, conducted day and night operation. So any kind of emergency, we don't refuse. We are there to help them. So all this, the journey from nothing, from saying it's impossible in Pakistan, to achieving and establishing a world-class organization in Pakistan. Obviously, it's a very difficult journey. But in order to achieve this, we all need to reset our thinking that we can't do it in a developing country. No, that's not correct. We can do it when you have the vision, the will, the motivation, the dedication. Let me tell you, nothing is impossible. But it's a very difficult journey. Bringing any change, bringing any reforms is never easy. But somebody has to do it. And if a student in a final year can think of doing it, and wherever I was traveling, I would just go and see their systems, just because I had the passion that we have to do it. We did it. We did the national reforms. They were not implemented. We again had to come back from Lahore and start from scratch to build a service which I never thought would be the leading emergency service of South Asia, which would be the first service to get United Nations in Sarag certification. So it was all like a mission impossible. But thank God, we were able to do it in a developing country like Pakistan. So nothing is impossible. That's the message that I want to give to all of you. So seeing all this, it says seeing is believing. So what you just saw is something what we've practically been able to do. And today, even any man, poor, rich, day or night, whether it's an earthquake, whether it's a flood, any emergency, even animal rescue, people call us and we respond. And we maintained an average response time of 8 minutes while responding to all of these emergencies in all of Punjab. So, and now it's being spread all over. And not just this, when the traffic increased, we started the motorbike rescue service. And when we were starting that, everybody again said, this can't be a success. This will be again a failure. And everybody would say, doomsday, that this can't be a success, this won't. Today, that has responded to over 2 million emergencies with an average response time of 4 minutes within the cities, which is an achievement even internationally. So it's how good your planning is, how effective your implementation is, what your strategy is, and then how committed you are to the cause that will determine that your target, your mission, and the thing that you're doing will be successful or not. So in order to achieve that, you need to reset the way you think. Without that, all these impossible things cannot be achieved. So nothing is impossible. It's the vision, the commitment, the devotion, the dedication. Pakistan has a huge potential. It's just these things with good governance, with which nothing is impossible. And it's achieving such a thing, and that too in a public sector, was again another mission impossible. But we were able to deliver, and we were able to show to the world that nothing is impossible, and I think that's what we can achieve. So I hope that all of you are ready for that change. I thought about it when I was in a final year student. Never thought I would be able to achieve it. So I hope that all of you are ready for the change. Are you? No, I don't see that. With this kind of, the enthusiasm, the energy, it's very difficult. So are you ready for the change? Yeah. Are you ready for the change? Yeah. Are you ready to reset the way you think? We have to do it. Are you ready to do it? Yeah. Are you ready to accept the challenge? Yeah. That's the spirit which is required. To think, start small, start from within your community. Once you go back, make a team. And I think we are providing the platform to all of you. All that you need to do is go, open your phones. You have a Park Lifesaver app. It's called the Park Lifesaver app, and become a lifesaver. You will save lives just by a small training within your family. Then establish a community emergency response team within your area and start the work from there. Don't waste time. That's what I did. Even in my student days, I wouldn't waste time. I would go, either it was sports, which helped me later on when I was doing the rescue work. So spend time constructive, doing something which adds value or contributing to the community. So just by registering on the Park Lifesaver app, then establishing a community emergency response team within your area, you can start with the small things and then build from there. We started from a small thing in Lahore, and today we are the leading emergency service of South Asia. So let's start. Are you willing to start? No, are you willing to start? Yes. Are you willing to reset the way you think? Yes. So it's not impossible, it is possible. And let's start with whatever commitment that you have. Make a small team, turn your area around. You know what upsets me most? Today we are working for prevention, and that's where we need help of all of you. When I see that there is the data, every 1.25 minutes there is a road traffic crash. Every 1.25 minutes. 80% of them involve motorbikes. 10 to 15 people die every day. There are about almost 500 to 600 people who get disabled every day. This is not a small thing. These are all preventable. So just the way we plan, then, I'm sure Rashid Latif Saab is sitting here. He would remember the days up till the 1970s. Even if you went to a village, it was green. The houses were mud houses, but they were environment friendly. And even the streets were clean. We didn't have garbage at every corner. Today, if you go to those villages or any of the areas within the city as well, the trees are gone. It's all brick and mortar. The drainage systems are blocked because everybody has thrown the garbage in those. And every corner you find garbage lying over there. So why can't we clean? कहते हैं निस्फ सफाई निस्फ ईमान है. सो अगर हम इसी के ऊपर काम करना शुरू कर दें अपनी कम्युनिटी में, जिसके पास रिसोर्सेज नहीं है, उसको आप हायर कर लें कि वो हर घर से वो ले इकट्ठा करे, एक जगह पे जाके सेग्रीगेट करे, तो क्या आज अगर सब लोग आप कमिटमेंट करते हैं तो हम क्या इस कम्युनिटी को मॉडल कम्युनिटी बना सकते हैं? I think Rashid Latif साहब ने जहाँ पे आज ये सारा अचीव किया है, I'm sure that he'll commit to that today we reset the way we think, and let's make this community a model community where we will see all of this change taking place, and that you will go and do in your areas. Are you ready? Yes. We are ready to provide you with all the support. There is a rescue station every town, every major area. We will support you. But we need a commitment from all of you. So are you ready to commit? Yes. Are you ready to reset the way you think? Yes. So you need a more powerful yes for this. Are you ready? Yes. So let's do it. And we have to do it. Nobody else is going to come from outside to do it for us. We learn, and instead of reinventing the wheel, we move forward, and let's do it. Let's establish a clean, green, and safer communities in Pakistan. It's not impossible. If we can establish this, we can, jointly working together, we can achieve this target of establishing a clean, green, safe communities in Pakistan. So let's do it, and we have to do it. Thank you. Any questions? Ji.
I was able to see your slide, sir.
Can we have the lights now?
Ji, Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Sir. I was able to see your service from the government side starting 2005. Then again, I was able to see your service from 2019 till 2021, 22 from the government side. You're doing a great work, but I think maybe you forgot to mention the support of the political leadership that helped you in establishing all this. And the pioneers or the founders, I would say, was the ex-Chief Minister Punjab, Chaudhry Pervez Ilai, who is unfortunately in jail right now. But my question to you is that through all these years, how were you able to gain political leadership's respect, their will to keep your service going? Because in our country, unfortunately, what happens is that when the governments change, even if the previous government was doing well, they tend to shut down those services, those avenues. So how were you able to survive and live through this? Thank you.
How many of you think providing the right to way, right to life, you know, when you help somebody who's dying on the road, is it a right to life, or should we allow that person to die on the road? It's a right to life. When people are dying in case of an earthquake, when people are dying in a flood, when people are dying on the road, there's nothing political about it. Is it political? So the only thing is, if somebody starts it, it's the time when Allah Ta'ala had destined that it was to be started at that time. We did the national reforms 2001 and 2. Had they been implemented, half of the people could have been saved. 2003, we came back, and then the government of Punjab, which I must say that the historic city of Lahore and the government of Punjab has always been progressive. Always been progressive. Any of the governments, starting from there to the next one, to the next one. I think everywhere we've had a constant progression and growth. So it was 14 ambulances then, to 10 to 12 major cities, and then expanding to 36 districts of Punjab, then starting the motorbike rescue service, then starting the fire service, 2010 starting the flood rescue service. It was all. So there was nothing political about it. Yes, and everybody within their spheres, I think every contributed to this entire cause. And I think they all need to be given a big hand and contribution to all of this, not their contribution. It was their vision which guided us. Obviously, there were certain difficult periods also, but I think it's without those difficulties, it's nothing is easy. So I said, without difficulties, starting a journey in 91, 92, being able to start in 2004, and then 2019 to get a UN certification in South Asia. So obviously you can imagine how difficult this journey was. Even you can imagine that when we were in the final stages for our UN classification and the UN mission had to come to Pakistan. So at the last stage, our mentor, Mr. Edward Pern from UK, suddenly had a medical emergency. He had retirement. After retirement, he was helping building our team. And just 2 months before this, we didn't know what to do. So if that classification and that UN mission evaluation would have been delayed, there would have been COVID, and next 3 years we could not have been able to do this entire process. The way the timing, and so we contacted and we started to find a new mentor. And obviously we won't, and certainly then we found a mentor, Mr. Shanmore, and then from UK, and he said, Pakistan? No way, how can they do it? It's not possible. So I need to go and see the team first. When he came here, he saw the team, he saw the premises, he saw everything. He said, you're good to go, I think. And he gave a good green hat to the UN mission to come and evaluate us for the certification process, which almost took 3 years, and to become the first team to get UN certification. So all these were impossible targets. But I think there was Allah's help, the difficult periods, and obviously the leadership, which was always there to guide us in different things. And so yes, definitely I think hats off to all of those who guided us in this journey and this process. Please.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Sara Qureshi. I'm an aerospace engineer. First of all, thank you very much for your services to this country and to humanity. I have 2 questions, or you can take them as my comments. As an aerospace engineer, I know that drones are also involved in search and rescue and accessing remote locations. So if you're already not looking into it, I would suggest that, as a future development, you also look into this area, and if you need support, we are there. Secondly, I know that, you mentioned motorbikes and 80% accidents with motorbikes. We as engineers, we call motorbikes unfortunate inventions. Cycle is a great invention, engine is a great invention, but put them together and it's a disaster. And I think every person who uses a motorbike has had one accident in their life. So there's one design for motorbikes which uses safety rods, but that's not a regulation in the country. Some motorbikes have them, and that's a prevention, and it's life-saving in many cases, and some don't. So I would request you that in the capacity of your organization, if you can get this regulation placed as a law, get this law passed in the country that all motorbikes need to have those safety rods so that we can prevent road accidents due to motorbikes. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll definitely convey that to the transport department, which looks after this. And of course, once you talk about this, there's so much of work which has been done internationally on every sector, whether you talk about the drones, whether you talk about the different kind of planes, whether you talk about different kind of surveillance equipment which is available. We obviously use drones at a different level and for limited surveillance, but then when the area becomes vast, we need to go for different other things. So like when we are dealing with forest fires, when we are dealing with major floods in the areas, so obviously we need to use different equipment, and we've looked at different equipment that we're working with. As far as the road safety is concerned, there's called a global road safety strategy, which basically has 5 pillars. The last pillar was the post-crash response, which we didn't have in Pakistan, but today we've met that. But when the overall country strategy and the country rating comes, because we've done it in Punjab, the rest of the provinces haven't done it, we get the national rating which goes below. But then they say it's no longer an accident. So that's again where you need to reset your thinking. Now let me ask you one question. When you have an accident, is it an accident or a road traffic crash? Let's reset your thinking. Okay. Gee. Is it an accident or a crash? वो कहते हैं अल्लाह ताला की तरफ से था. वो कहते हैं कि we need to change our thinking. अपनी गलती को हम किसी और के ऊपर, मसलन let's say अगर आप एक मोटर बाइक है जो कि आप चला रहे हैं 100 या 120 की स्पीड पे और गाड़ियों के दरमियान में से जा रहे हैं, the probability of getting injured and a fatal injury कितनी है? क्या हम इसकी कंट्रीब्यूशन खुद हम कर रहे हैं गलती और उसके बाद क्या हम इसको कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं कि जी हमें उससे मुतजाती तौर पे हम बच जाएंगे? क्या अक्लमंदी है? सो उन्होंने दुनिया में कहा कि इट इज़ नो लॉन्गर एन एक्सीडेंट, इट्स अ रोड ट्रैफिक क्रैश। और जब तक हम ये अपनी रीसेट नहीं करेंगे थिंकिंग, तब तक हम प्रिवेंशन पे काम नहीं कर सकते। वो कहते हैं ये एक्सीडेंट नहीं है बल्कि रोड ट्रैफिक क्रैश है, बिकॉज या ये ड्राइवर की गलती से होता है, या गाड़ी में ख़राबी से होता है, या सड़क में कोई फॉल्ट हो तो डिफेक्टिव है वो, या अदर रोड यूजर्स बगैर देखे कोई सड़क क्रॉस करना शुरू कर देता है। तो जब तक आप इन फैक्टर्स को नहीं देखते तब तक आप प्रिवेंशन पे काम नहीं कर सकते, और यहीं से रिसर्च शुरू होती है। एंड आई थिंक दैट्स वेयर वी नीड टू कंट्रीब्यूट। You should have from this university so many of the papers that should be coming out, and you should be pick up a small topic, go and do research on that. That will open and reset your mind. I think that's the most important thing. And the reset your mind only takes place the way you think after research, because most of the evidence-based, without evidence-based decision making, you can never have the right decision making. Maslan, let me give you one or two small examples. हमने कहा जी फॉरेन हेलमेट इंट्रोड्यूस कर दें। आपका ख्याल है हेलमेट्स इंट्रोड्यूस करने से क्या एक्सीडेंट्स का रेशियो कम हुआ या बढ़ा? कम हुआ, बढ़ा? इट्स अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग। हेलमेट पहननी चाहिए सबको, देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट। उससे कम हुआ या ज़्यादा हुआ? ओके जी। देखिए, द हेलमेट अगेन एवरीथिंग हैज़ अ रिसर्च, सो इट हैज़ टू बी द राइट डिज़ाइन एंड इट हैज़ टू बी प्रॉपरली स्ट्रैप्ड। सो आपने क्या किया जिस वक्त हेलमेट पंच आदि, द ओनली थिंग विच इज़ मोस्ट इफेक्टिव इज़ रिड्यूसिंग द स्पीड ऑफ द बाइक, जो उन्होंने साइकिल की बात की। सो एवरी किलोमीटर इंक्रीज ऑल्सो इंक्रीजेज योर चांसेस ऑफ अ फेटल इंजरी। तो जब आपने हेलमेट बगैर प्लानिंग के किया और उसके साइड मिरर्स नहीं थे, सो जो आपकी विजन है वो आपने रिस्ट्रिक्ट किया, यहाँ से ईयर्स को ब्लॉक किया, और उसके बाद ना स्ट्रैप्ड है ना कुछ और। तो जब वो उसने लेन टर्न करनी होती पूरा मुड़ के देखता है, और बाय दैट टाइम पीछे से जो कार आ रही है वो उसको। सो एवरी डिसीजन दैट यू टेक मस्ट बी एविडेंस बेस्ड एंड बेस्ड ऑन डिसीजन, एंड वंस यू कैरी आउट रिसर्च ऑटोमेटिकली यू विल रीसेट द वे यू थिंक। मसलन अगर रोड सेफ्टी की कैंपेन शुरू होती है, सबसे पहले आप कहते हैं जी हमें वो लगानी चाहिए सीट बेल्ट्स। गाड़ियों की वजह से कितने रोड ट्रैफिक क्रैशेस हैं? एनीबॉडी हैज डेटा? कितने एक्सीडेंट्स होंगे रोड ट्रैफिक क्रैशेस? 2%। सो 2% के ऊपर आप फोकस कर रहे हैं, उसमें भी 2% में जो सीट बेल्ट्स की वजह से है वो कितनी होंगी? और जो 80% है इन्वॉल्व वो मोटर बाइक है, और उसके ऊपर हमारा काम नहीं है। So that's the importance of evidence-based decision making, and without data you cannot do it, and that's research and data which after which you reset the way you think. So let's reset the way we think by contributing, by working, research and all of this. That's the only thing with which we can reset the way we think. So let's do it. Are you ready to do it? Thank you.